What's going on, guys, and welcome back. Happy Saturday. How is everybody doing today? So this is a deck that I've been messing with for a little while now, trying to cater it towards the format and how can we make it do better. The deck has been performing lower and lower these past few weeks. It seems like it's starting to not be bad, but not quite be that top 2 threat that we were used to it being. So in designing the deck, I wanted to think about a few things. How is the Popsicle matchup? That should be the first question you have with every deck. How is the Amber Steel aggro matchup? How is that one? What about the mirror matches? Things like that. So how do you go through about it? What are your play lines? What can you do against the current meta? And I wanted to cater something into that. I wanted to try to have a matchup against Popsicle that I think is very favorable, which I believe I accomplished that. Testing the deck so far, I've played 4 Popsicle matchups. I 2-0'd 3 of them, and I went to game 3 and won the 4th. I'm 2-0 versus Blue Steel, 2-0 versus Amber Steel. I don't remember the full list of testing, but those are some of the more notable decks that I wanted to mention. I think Amethyst Emerald, he was 2-1 against and 1-0 against Steel Song. The deck has been performing absolutely incredible. I like it a lot. I think it's the right direction. Maybe a little bit of tweaking here or there is needed. It's not quite that under $200 budgetish version of Ruby Amethyst that we're so accustomed to seeing, and that's because I think the deck needed to change a little bit. And with Popsicle being the best deck, how do you answer a few things? What do they do? How do you answer Maui Half Shark? You have to have an answer for that. And one that I thought about was, do you play Mal Dragon? We used to play it, and it's inkable. And in that matchup specifically, you get to 9 ink. You get into those long, grindy games. So it's actually a live card. And then I thought, for 3 less ink, why don't we just play our own Half Sharks? I wasn't a big fan of the card in this deck personally, but the way the format is, I think it actually is needed. Pretty much any other matchup, for the most part, I ink my Half Sharks. But in the Popsicle matchup, it answers a Half Shark as well as like a Be Prepared. And getting that extra lore from playing in action actually comes up and works really nicely as well. But let's go ahead and talk about the deck, and then we'll talk about some of those matchups and the play lines that I like to go for. In our 1-drop spot, we are playing 13 total uninkable cards, by the way, and you can see on the graphic we are very heavy in our 3-cost cards. So going Chernobog's Followers and Magic Broom as our 2 1-drops of choice. I think this is pretty standard at this point. Diablo, while guaranteeing you a draw, is nice. At the same time, it has 0 attack, and it really doesn't accomplish anything else unless you use other cards in tandem with it. I wanted more to do more standalone things with the rest of my cards and not have to like have a crab or have a library to get any type of value out of a Diablo. I didn't want that, so we're not playing the Diablo. In our 2-drop spot, we have 3 Snake because really, you're not trying to play it on 2 anyway. It's more of a later game. Bounce your Tremaines, bounce your Goats, bounce a Fox back to your hand, bounce like big Sisu, things like this. Trying to bounce cards like that back to your hand. Ideally, you want to hit Flynn Rider on turn 2 all of the time. Even if it's not a good matchup, it's a 2/2 body to just slap down on the board and say, answer it. So ideally, you go for Flynn on 2 pretty much all of the time. Another 1-drop that you might say is Moana. She's a 3/2 body, and it makes your Flynn live faster. That's true, but a lot of the Flynn counters are playing a 3 strength character on 2 anyway, so I felt like it was kind of redundant for that point, and she really didn't accomplish anything other than potentially pairing up with Flynn. I have a little buddy here helping out. Dexton can say hi if he would like. And when we get into our 3-drop spots, this is my son who got his Scar promo, by the way, playing a Amethyst Emerald Evasive. The video's somewhere on the channel. Catch me if you can. It's a few weeks ago. In our 3-drop spot, we got the 4 Foxes. That's going to be really standard. 2 Crabs. I think 2 is enough in this deck because you have like your Mauis that already have this incredibly high strength statistic on them. Your Sisu Empowered Sibling, also another card that can have a lot of strength in that early going. So you really don't need Crab as much as other Amethyst decks would, like Blurple, where you're really relying on Crab to be able to do that damage to your opponent. An addition that I think is very warranted, Sisu Daring Visitor. Not only is it another answer, so we're playing 6 immediate answers for a Hiram. So we got 6 answers to hit Hiram. Hit Hiram, hit that draw engine, shut it down. What about your other matchups? In Amber Steel, you hit Daisy Duck. You can hit these other aggressive style cards that a lot of them have 1 strength. In addition to that, she's evasive. So if you get her down, guess what? You can play a crab, boost her to 4 strength, and crash her into a genie. There's a lot of utility that I think Daring Visitor Sisu offers, and Popsicle decks have been abusing her for so long. I said Ruby Amethyst should be doing the same thing. Absolutely. I think that Sisu Daring Visitor should be played not just at 1, but I think 2 is very, very warranted, and it's been a huge card into my Popsicle matchups. If you shut that Hiram draw engine down early and they don't have a way to start getting that card draw going, you're going to be in an incredibly strong spot, especially if you can hit like the Flynn line. So if you hit like Flynn on 2, Sisu on 3, their turn 3, assuming you're on the play, then you come back with Sisu or Brawl, get rid of their Hiram, and all of a sudden now your Flynn Rider's going, you cut off the draw engine, you're going to be in a really good spot. And if you're on the draw, not on the play, even sticking that Flynn down still, and they come out with Hiram, you hit Sisu, guess what? 2's higher than Hiram's 1 anyway to begin with, and now you set them back another turn with the Sisu getting rid of their Hiram. So once again, you're just offering some nice trade value here. And once you get into that mid-game, turn 4, 5, 6 or so against Popsicle, you ditch the Flint Rider. You quest it out, you let whatever happen to it. You don't just stick it on board unless you have like a 7-strength Maui to boot to make him be able to actually get you that lore. 4 Sisu, obviously going to be really strong there for you as well. No genies. I wanted the uninkable count down, and thumbnail already gave it away, but we're going to hide those cards. I wanted the uninkable count lower. I like where we're at with 13. And I wanted to guarantee cards. When you're getting B-prepped, when you're getting hit by brawls, when you're getting hit by all these cards, Genie is an incredibly, incredibly strong card, and if you have the room, you have the uninkable space, you have everything else going for it, absolutely. It's a great card to play. 100%. I don't have the uninkable space, and I didn't have the deck space. I needed to cut uninkables, and I needed to cut cards. So Genie kind of accomplished both of that because the rest of the deck functions where I was wanting it to go with anyway. So we went with the 4 Merlins on Goat and Rabbit. Elsa was another card that was very hard to cut, and I think I was down to 66 cards when Elsa got cut out of the deck. I'm like, okay, trying to think this through. I'm like, what do we need Elsa for? To answer our opponent's Genies. We have Sisu plus Crab as a niche option. We have big Sisus. We have Brawls. We have Be Prepared. I have answers for Genie. I'm like, okay, we don't need the Elsa for Genie. What else does Elsa do? She exerts characters. That's going to be strong regardless. I get that. But a lot of the things she does, we have other tools and utility cards to be able to handle it. So I felt like Elsa was a card that was actually able to be cut from the deck. 3 Mauis, being able to come down on 5 with Maui, obviously going to be really strong. Lots of card draw, lots of consistency. 3, I think, is enough. And then we get into the rest of our characters. 2 Lady Tremaines. I was on 3 Tremaine, but like Genie, like Elsa, towards the end, it got cut back. 2 Tremaine still. Medusa's still good too, but once again, I just think with the unequal cards in the deck and where we were at, she was going to be less good. And for that reason, we ended up not running her. So two Lady Tremaine still potentially offer that shift line. I don't think you need to max out on the 4. So this is similar-esque to Ed's list, right? The no Genies, no Elsas, no Medusas, but we're not playing 4 Tremaines. We're not playing no Mauis. I think Maui is just too important right now in the meta overall. So like I said, I wanted to improve the Popsicle matchup while not compromising other matchups, and I really feel like this deck has done that. Maui Half Shark. It answers Maui Half Shark. It gives you that option to be able to do that. Otherwise, Elsa plus Crab. There were built-in ways for you to do that as well, but we're going to forgo that, right? We got Be Prepared. We got Maui Half Sharks. We are going to be able to answer card for card with them pretty well. Elsa. I think Elsa's utility is incredibly strong. The 4/6 body is also very big because you got your Mauis that take her out, but like Big Sisu doesn't take her out. She can go into a Big Sisu and survive it. That's huge. In addition, just that 6 willpower, being able to survive so many things, especially paired up with Belle, going to be very good. Bouncing her, freezing cards so your opponent can't quest. Sometimes Big Sisu can't clear a threat. Why? Because they have more than 2 strength. Half Sharks, Mauis, Lady Tremaines. Lots of cards in the format just don't get hit by Sisu. So Elsa actually hits a lot of them, and it puts them on you better have an answer for me, because if you don't have that answer for me, I'm probably winning the game. In addition to that, we got multiple big Sisus, because if Discard makes a comeback like it's been seeing a lot more play, she's going to be really good. Amethyst Emerald, she's going to be very good. I know they have a lot of 3 and 4 strength characters too, but a lot of their key cards are 2 or lower. In addition to that, any aggressive style deck, Amber Steel especially, can fall victim to Sisu, and we're playing 6 little Sisus, so you slow them down in the early game, you shift the Sisu, you're probably sitting in a very strong spot at that point. Been really happy with the overall ratios of the deck. Playing 3 8-cost uninkable cards, though, can be kind of high. I mean, we've seen formats where you go like 2 Tremaine, 2 Medusa, and 1 of these. So that's 5. We still have 5, but we're opting instead of a 6 for an 8, right? And then you add in when you're playing your Be Prepared. So we got 4 Brawls. We already kind of mentioned that. So not too crazy there. We're only playing 2 Be Prepareds. So this was part of the way to make room for that Elsa. I'm like, well, between Pete and Ursula and losing my board, I'm like, what if we just take the approach of I'm going to have the better late game, I'm going to have the better board presence, the better threats coming down. Be Prepared is an incredibly strong card. Obviously, board wipes are invaluable, and there's times where you're going to absolutely need it, and I'm unfortunately going to see it less often because I'm playing less of it. But I play less into other meta cards of the format, and overall, it's been feeling really clean. Popsicle plays too. We have a better consistency engine and package than they do, so to see ours is better. And again, they only play the 2 and they get away with it. I get that they have Maui Half Shark to get it back, but guess what? So do we now. So I think that between the Maui Half Shark, the extra work that Elsa and the 2 big Sisus has been putting in, To Be Prepared is absolutely perfectly fine. I've had 0 issues with it whatsoever. I think there's maybe 1 game where I really wanted it and I didn't have it. And outside of that, though, even if I had it, that doesn't guarantee you win. It just guarantees you a chance to continue playing the game at that point. But you got to see where you're at. 3 more spots. Queen's Castle. Library still hasn't won me games. Castle still has. That's really all I got to say. So into your Popsicle matchup, if you hit like on the play, right? We're going back to what? Set 4 on the play versus Popsicle. Hit Flynn, Sisu, Castle, GG, game over. You have your Sisu and your Brawl to handle the Hirams. You have your Fox with Rush to just be able to walk right through them. If you're on the draw, if you know they're playing Manor, if they're going to try to stick that down, which is kind of, Manor's not that good against this deck because you have Mauis, you have Foxes, you have these high strength characters, you have Crab to boost something that's on the board already. You can put a Crab down on 3. If they play a Manor, you then Crab into the Manor, Fox bounce Crab, Fox finish off Manor. You can clear Manor very easily in this deck. But overall, like I said, the Flynn Sisu Castle is going to be the main play line you're going to go for to press their hand and force them into having an answer. And then you got your Sisu Brawl as just quick answers to shut off their draw engine. In the hyper aggro decks, you're probably going to go for like something with a Broom on 1 because of the willpower of 2 as opposed to the 1 from your followers. And then even if you get a Flynn down on 2, or if you really need to, Snake. Either way, you're not really getting a whole lot of tempo back on 2. So if you stick a Flynn down, you're not going to be using it to challenge unless you absolutely have to, but it gives you that +3 lore threat because you're probably going to have a higher strength character than they will to be able to just claw your way back into the game very quickly as you start to fall behind a little bit in the early turns. Kind of like the Hiram, though, you have Daring Visitor and 4 Brawls, so you got 6 turn 3 answers to deal with the biggest threat on the board in that moment. Whether it's a Daisy Duck with Sisu, whether it's Piglet with your Brawl, or Brawl hitting Daisy Duck even. You can have a lot of early answers for that. Getting your Sisu down, who's a multi-quester and is also going to have a field day with your Flynn, allows you to just stay on pace with them in that very fast, aggressive style. Bell is going to be insane. The one matchup I had, it was against Blue Steel. He had Pete, Grammatala, and I had Maui. And it's like, well, okay, Maui, take out Pete, play Bell, move 3, take out Tala. Huge tempo swing. And the next turn, he had Tinkerbell from that turn, killed one of my characters, killed Maui, then killed, I think I had a rabbit with 1 damage already from Tinkerbell entering play, and that's why Maui had 1 damage too. And then he played another character, and it's like, okay, so I just crashed into the Tinkerbell, played the Tremaine, Hades, got rid of the Hades, completely took over the game and swung the board away from him. Versus the mirror match, this is going to be a tricky one, right? Like your Sisu here is not going to be incredibly strong outside of offering you shift lines for Sisu to just press that board presence early. I think that you play a heavy resource game, right? Flynn Rider can be okay in the mirror because you force them to play into the Flynn Rider. You force their hand. You have to brawl me. You have to put down a fox, crab. Like, you just force what they have to play. Sisu. A lot of the time, it's not going to matter too much. But something we're doing that they're not is playing Half Shark, who has 7 strength. That's going to help with your Flynn a lot in the mirror match. And overall, like I said, the deck's just performing less and less. The biggest thing is I think we have the better character presence than the standard list, and you just have a less Be Prepared. But good thing Be Prepared hits both players. And if you're getting a better character presence down and you put a Queen's Castle on board or have the threat of it, you're going to be sitting pretty good, because what are they going to do? Go after your castle and then you start trading characters with them and you still have the better character presence? Or do they go after your characters, losing theirs in the process of taking yours out, and now your castle just runs away with the game for you? Overall, the deck has been performing really well, and I think that Ruby Amethyst absolutely can see a ton of success, especially if it starts to pivot into a style similar to this. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget, we have our case giveaway at 5,500 subscribers. We're getting pretty close, like 230 away. Thank you guys for watching, and until next time, take care.